Good morning. Morning. We're together again. Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 12. It says, "For one spirit, in one spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and all were made to drink of one spirit." Like this whole one spirit baptized into one body, this whole, one body, that's oneness, right? And then he actually talks about Jews or Greeks, slaves or free. And those are the actually examples deliberately chosen as the greatest social barriers that one can possibly imagine during that time. And I think this challenges our barriers that we consider to be barriers, and which is our pickiness. They say, oh man, those people I can't really get along because they're not my type. It's like, really? And it turns out to be the shallowest of criteria. Stuff like, slightly different taste in humor, whether somebody is sporty or not, or things like that. It's just interests. So if you talk about my type, I mean Jews or Greeks, they're not the type. Slaves or free, they're not they are not each other's types at all. But Apostle Paul is saying Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, we're all baptized into one body. And the fact that Corinthians were all divided into different factions, and some of these factions were along socioeconomic lines. And Apostle Paul is saying that just shows you in chapter 3, actually he says that shows you are so fleshly, you are of the world. So when we feel like, I can't get a sense of belonging because these people we just don't click, I think that should really challenge. 1 Corinthians should really challenge us as to our worldliness.
From verse 15, with the foot saying, because I am not a hand, that would not make it any less a part of the body. Also the ear, because I'm not this other thing, I don't belong to the body. It does not make it any less a part of the body. That phrase hit me because even though the foot or the ear may be saying these things to themselves and telling themselves these mantras, it doesn't make them any less. It doesn't make that reality that they are part of the body any less. And so we say, I'm not blank because I'm not blank, I'm not part of the body. But and that's usually things like, I'm not good at this or that, I'm not competent enough, I'm not like this other person, and I'm not contributing.
Yeah.
So,
because I am not. I think because I am not, I do not belong. Like that blank is something else. It could be like whatever, but because I am not blank enough, I do not belong. I think this kind of sentiment is very common. But the flip side of the coin of that saying is like the I saying, I have no need of you, hand, or I have no need of your foot. That's a really obnoxious thing to say, right? And people recognize that immediately as obnoxious. But actually, one seems really obnoxious and prideful, and the other seems like very
humble,
insecure and humble and things like that, and like, poor, victim complex. But actually, those two statements are flip side of the same coin because they're based on the same value system that says we need to outdo others in terms of visibility, and if you do reach that status, then you can say to others, I don't need you. But until you reach that status, then you feel like, oh man, because I'm not blank enough, I don't belong. They're both actually based on the same obnoxious, wrong, worldly value system.
And I think that espousing or like just internally believing this kind of value system by telling myself these things or telling yourself these things is something that is just railing against the reality that we are connected, and it actually doesn't do anyone any good to keep. It sounds very humble or self-deprecating to say, because I'm not this, I don't belong, but it's actually bringing more dysfunction into the body that's supposed to be functioning together and as one, and cutting yourself off from the very source of life, which is the body, by saying I don't belong here.
Yeah, and the second DT question was about like, what is my role in, given this vision of the church, what is my role? And I kind of thought about that, and I started answering it. I was like, wow, I have to actually actively seek for this kind of unity, to be that relational glue, even the joint that kind of binds people together. And if I see disunity, to actually desperately seek for reconciliation, to desperately seek for unity, and maybe rebuke the mentality of like, because I'm not blank, I don't belong, or I don't need you. That kind of mentality to actually actively bring people and myself together with others. And I think that's a very important aspect instead of kind of feeling helpless to that.
And it's hard work too. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
So as it says in verse 18, as it is, God arranged the members as each one of them as he chose. That brings me personally a lot of sense of assurance, because no matter what my role or my place is, my place itself is significant, and God put me as he chose. And I think these days might be a time of some uncertainty as we're getting ready to send out a lot of church plants, and there's transitions happening, and some people might just be lost in that sense of, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know what my place is going to be. But God is going to put you as he chooses. He puts me where he chooses, and we can respond in fear or faith, as we talked about on Sunday. And for me personally, my desire and prayer is to embrace the place that God has put me, no matter what it is, because he has a desire for me to grow and to mature in that place. And the faster I embrace it, the more life and health will come into the body. So I hope we can all really believe this, that God has placed each person as he chose in the body.
Amen. All right.
See you later.
See you. Bye. Have a good day.